You've heard of unconditional love, but have you heard of the secret to unconditional happiness and allowing more into your life? More wealth, more success, and more love. More freedom in your life right now. Welcome to the Happy Bar with Israel Savage. It's not the thing, it's our thoughts about the thing. It's the meaning we bring to it. And so for some people, at some times, a deadline is helpful. It feels good. I've mentioned we do a sketch show in a day and we have a 6-hour deadline. There's an audience coming in 6 hours and we have no idea what the show is going to be. And because of the excitement of that deadline and all of us there in it together and the trust that we have in the process, we create 15 original sketches from soup to nuts in 6 hours. And that feels great. It's exhilarating. That deadline is helpful. Sometimes, however, a deadline cannot be helpful. I remember I was doing a program myself and there was a deadline because I had paid for the program for a certain amount of time and the clock was ticking, but I didn't feel like doing the work that I needed to do. And there was more pressure and anxiety because I didn't want to do it. I had so many other things that were fighting for my attention, yet I knew I was paying for it and the clock was ticking. And so that deadline was not helping me. It wasn't helping me. It was anxiety producing, not because of the deadline, because of my thoughts around the deadline. I don't have time for this. I don't want to do it. I can't do this. So many thoughts around it. And so in that instance, the easier path for me was to ask for an extension and just say, can I have an extension, please? Because I just, right now, it's counterproductive. I'm feeling like I need to put my focus elsewhere. I still want to do it, but I think I'll get more done. And so that was the easier path for me in that moment. And so for anything, our only responsibility is to know the what of what we want. And not even that, because remember, our greater self holds that for us. Sometimes we're not even exactly clear, but our greater self is in terms of our desires. But we at least need to have a general idea of the what we want, and we need to know the emotional why, how it's going to feel when we get there. That's it. It's not our responsibility to think about or know the how it will happen or the when. And the reason is, when we think about the how it will happen or the when, it's got to happen by February, or it's got to happen by, March 19th, 2020, I must be married, whatever the thing is, whatever these deadlines, I must have 2 kids by, that can feel good when it's 5 years out. But as the deadline approaches, we can start to feel desperate, right? Because we've imposed this pressure on ourselves and we're going to get less than ideal results. We're going to get desperate feeling results. When we go on dates, the date is going to feel the desperation, because you're not seeing your date, you're seeing your deadline. Like, I got to just slot you in to meet my deadline. And your date's going to feel that, as opposed to just holding on to the emotional feeling of having someone in your life to share your life with and knowing that it's unfolding step by step and it's happening and your greater you is taking care of it. So there's an ease about that, a lightness about that. And so sometimes we can introduce the how, A, B, C, D, it must happen this way. And we introduce the when, and it can add resistance. It can add doubt and disbelief. If I say to the universe that, I would like to have more money in my bank account and feel wealthier and more prosperous. And I see that unfolding more and more. My bank account is growing. My belief is there. I can believe that. And so there's no resistance there. And that's where my belief is at now. Now, if I were to say to myself in the universe that within 2 weeks, I want a check for $5 million in my mailbox just to show up. Now, I don't have a lot of belief that can happen in 2 weeks. $5 million, a check to show up in my mailbox. I don't have a lot of, and so I can say it. I can do affirmations. Okay, I visualize a $5 million check in my mailbox in 2 weeks. I visualize, but every time I pick up that topic, my disbelief is greater than my belief. And so all I'm doing every time I think about it is I'm practicing a habit of disbelief. And that's what I'm picking up. And so you want to stay in step with where your belief is at and start to stretch that and grow that out. And I find the easiest thing to do is to stay away from the how and the when. Keep it more general until it starts to feel good.
The how, yes. It is like, I didn't put like that deadline like set in stone. It was just an idea, but when I'm surprised about that it might happen, that is what I'm surprised about, because I put it like that. It's like, well, but it might not happen, so I will continue doing this other thing. But he's like, it might happen. I have the feeling it might. So I don't know. It just surprises me because it was not a fix. It's like something inside of me decided that.
No, that's different.
Something. I mean, I did. I did decide it, but it was just like a really random thought. Yeah, in February. But then, as I was approaching February, many things started to happen that are like getting into. It's like it is even despite of myself.
Yes. No, that's and that's the second piece of this. You know, as your belief starts to grow, then it might fill in with a timeline, right? It might fill in with a timeline, but you don't want to impose a timeline too early on that's out of step with your belief. And so if you can hold a general time with no attachment and just hold it very softly in general, and it feels good, and that's your clue always. How does it feel? And it feels good, then great. Then keep going. Then keep at it. And obviously with any project you're working on, imagine you're in a show, right? There are some deadlines you have to hit and some things you have to do. But the key here is to not put pressure around those deadlines or to fix the deadlines until they have to be fixed, until it will cause you more stress to not fix a deadline. If I have an article that is due for a magazine and it's due in 2 months, I could kind of give myself a general timetable of how I'd like to work. And that feels good to me so that the time doesn't slip away from me. And so that feels good. So anytime it feels good to put timing in there, great. Just allow yourself the freedom to not be so fixed on the timing so that if it does shift a little bit, that you allow that to happen, because that's the universe recalculating. Right? Recalculating. This is going to be a slightly easier path. If you just wait until the third week in February or the first week in March, it's just you have this even greater opportunity. So allow for that flexibility.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
But the place that you're in is a fantastic one, I think, because you're exploring and you're holding everything in a very loose and light place. And it feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good.
Great. And as long as it feels good, continue. And then when it doesn't feel good, that's just a little yellow flag that says, oh, okay, so recalculating.
I might get those soon, like anytime soon.
Well, yeah, and you want to get those, right? Because if everything always felt good, then you're not growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want to get those. So yes, they will for sure come, and appreciate them because they're a part of the process for sure.
Yeah.
If you liked what you just heard, then take inspired action now. That's right, act while you are feeling good. And build on your momentum. Schedule your free discovery call with me at instudios-nyc.com/happybar.